and also a guy that's on the bad side with Max Crosby.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, multiple-time Super Bowl champion Michael Lombardi.
Yes. I knew we'd get to that. I knew we would get to that subject immediately. It took you no time at all.
Had to.
Let me address the elephant in the room.
Thank you.
He's right. I was wrong. I thought he had a hamstring injury. And he's right to call me out because I was wrong, just like I call people out that I think are wrong. And so I was wrong on that. I thought he had a hamstring. He had a high ankle. He didn't deserve to be on the sideline. But where I'm not wrong.
Let's stop. Let's
Flip that.
hold the phone for a second. That was big. Hey, that was good. I like that. Let's go shake their hands. That's what just happened, Ray. Let's go shake their hands.
Look, if you're going to criticize people and you're right, you only have validity if you admit when you're wrong. I mean, look, that's what I do. You comment on football. I don't say everything's great. I criticize. I make an opinion. But when I'm wrong, I got no problem standing up to it, Pat.
Like that. Max, worthy response, and I'm happy you two have put your swords down. That's good to hopefully. Hopefully you two put your swords down. Now you're about to butt that thing, which I don't love, but you're about
I do think there's internal problems within that organization, which was the genesis of our conversation. I mean, I think the Davante Adams situation is brewing. I don't think everybody's happy there with what's going on in the building. It's a hard job for Antonio Pierce moving from interim coach to becoming the full-time coach, right? It's hard because you went from the substitute teacher to the full-time teacher, and now you have to have rules. You've got to imply things. They can't run the football at all. Their defense has taken a step back from where they were towards the end of the season. So I don't think anybody in that building, starting from Mark Davis on down, is happy with what's going on, and there's a lot of conflict going on.
Okay, what do you think the end result is for, you mentioned Davante there. I've asked Schefter now multiple weeks in a row, does this help the trade or hurt the trade? For instance, Davante to the Jets, which was seemingly going to happen, I think, like last week when we were having this conversation. They lose to the Vikings in England. Okay, the way the offense looked, where Aaron targeted Garrett like 22 times or whatever, and then Lazard was really the only other option, seemingly without the run game, and their offense is going to look different going forward and everything. I thought the addition of another weapon could be good for them, especially as they were driving to win the game in England, if it wasn't for the third pick. I asked Schefter that. He goes, he doesn't think that expedites the whole thing. Okay, so then they fire head coach. Okay, Coach Sala. And I say, does that expedite it or does that slow it down? He said seemingly slowing it down because if your ownership and Joe Douglas, who's the GM, is on the last year of his contract, you just got rid of the head coach. Are you looking at the future? Are you looking at the future of the program? Are you going to give up a number 2 for a 1-year rental? Or are they going to go all in this year? What are your thoughts on the Davante trade market to the Jets and in general? How do you think it's all going to play out?
Well, I think let's start with Antonio Pierce at his press conference yesterday, where he said, look, Davante's coming back from the hamstring, and when he comes back, he's going to play a Raider. He's always a Raider. Why did he say that? That's propaganda, because he has to convince these teams in the league that Davante will play there if they can't make the trade that satisfies their conditions. He has to say that. That's part of what he has to do. Now, he doesn't believe what he just said because they're trying to trade him. But they can't get a second-round pick. They're not going to be able to get that value that they expected back at this time of the season. When you announce you want to trade a player, this is like sharks in the water. These NFL teams circle, and they look for what's the best deal we can make. And they're just going to keep saying, oh, that's too much, until the Raiders decide, wait a minute, let's just get rid of the problem for basically nothing, then deal with the problem and keep him on the team. I think Pierce made that statement yesterday. We'll see if it comes true, but this is a hard trade to make. He's got a lot of money on his contract this year. He's got a lot of money due to him next year. He wants the redo. We talked about this going back to February. So to me, I think the Raiders are going to have to lower their demands, and they're going to have to eat some of the salary if they're going to want to make this happen.
I wonder what teams are still in the market, with Derek Carr getting injured down there in New Orleans. Is that still a place that would be in? The Jets, obviously, Aaron, I would assume, would very much still want Davante Adams on the team. I'm sure Coach Browning would love to have Davante Adams on his offense as well, but will that be a place that'll, make enough of a trade offer? You said they give him away for nothing as the Shark Circle, potentially, inevitably, if they want to get rid of him. What is that, like a 4th instead of a 2nd? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, when you're talking about Friday picks, 2nd and a 3rd, those are valuable. Those should be potential starters for 4 years for your team. I think you could make this deal probably if he gave away a 4th-round pick that had conditions in it where based on his play time. But it's, we're not based baseball. It's hard to go from one system to another. Now, he could go back to the Jets and play with Aaron and feel like there'd be nothing missing in terms of the offense, the terminology, because even though the Jets announced today that Todd Downing will be the new play caller, the reality of it is they're not changing the plays. The offense is still intact. So Adams would fit in there. For New Orleans, I think this is risky if you're Mickey Loomis because you're going to start a rookie quarterback. We all know how that goes. Spencer Rattler's going to start, had a great preseason. But if you don't win these games and all of a sudden you can't give away a high pick, say you give away a fourth, now you're talking about the top of the fourth round. You know, you got to ask yourself, and then you have $100 million of you got to reduce your team next year. It makes it really difficult to make the deal.
Davante Adams could be a Colt. You know, don't worry about it. Or will he be a Raider all along after a hamstring injury heals up, which is going to keep him out for a second straight game over there?